Many thanks for joining us on today's edition of the Market Report Show. Back from the one-day holiday that the federal government declared for every Nigerians to mourn the demise of former President Muhammadu Buhari. But here we are, the day for business has returned to the Wednesday, 16 July 2025. And one of the key discussion points of today is looking at the Nigerian startup ecosystem. And Nigerian startup ecosystem has become one of the aspects of the Nigerian economy that federal government, state government have been doing one or two things alongside private investors to also invest money on. Nigerian startup ecosystem is a dynamic force in Africa, attracting significant investment and driving innovation in various sectors. Nigeria's large population of over 200 million, projected to reach 400 million by 2050, provide a substantial internal market for startup to scale up. Nigerian Startup Act aims to create a favorable legal and regulatory framework, fostering growth and attracting investment. Nigerian startup ecosystem also is recognized globally, with Lagos ranking among the top 100 global startup hubs. Despite all this good initiative and good acumen, the challenges are still there. The ecosystem has shown resilience with startups in fintech, agritech, and healthtech continue to thrive in Nigeria. The key strengths include a large internal market, the presence of tech unicorn, and a passage of the Nigerian Startup Act. The ecosystem has seen a rise in investment, particularly in the first quarter of 2024, down to the end of 2024 and beginning of 2025, with over $160 million invested so far, and is still growing in the year 2025. Where it faced challenges that include funding decline and regulatory hurdles, it remains a leading hub with strong potential for further growth. Meanwhile, inadequate power supply, internet access can hinder startup operation. Concern exists about the potential overvaluation of startup driven by increased liquidity in the ecosystem. As we appraise Nigerian startup ecosystem today, which is regarded as vibrant and promising landscape, characterized by strong potential and resilience, it is also faced with challenges that require strategic attention. We are confronted with how we are going to address the weaknesses and capitalize on the opportunities, and much more positioning Nigeria as a leading force in African startup ecosystem. Joining me on the show today is no other person that has been in that ecosystem of startup, helping us to understand how it has been. Theodora Otu, a financial consultant, money management expert, who is also the founder of Gazelle Kobe Concept. Theodora, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Exactly. I'm quite interested that someone like you have been in the game of startup will be help us to look at how it has been. Before we get to that aspect, what has been your assessment of Nigerian financial environment so far?
All right. Personally, I would say that I'm impressed with the Nigerian financial economy. When it comes to startups, right? We are evolving. We have seen growth in the aspect of fintech, mobile banking and digital payments. But however, with the high rate of inflation, which is currently at about 22.97% as of today, and with the stable or instability of our currency, and also with low access to funding, this has been a major bottleneck for startups. But the CBN reforms and the startup regulations has kind of provided hope for startups. But regardless, even with the reforms that look to support SMEs and startups, we still have lack of practical access to funding, which is the major gaps that a lot of founders in Nigeria are facing. So once this can be fixed, we can confidently say that the Nigerian financial system is above average. Exactly.
And above average in the sense that it can support initiative from the startup, foundation like yours. And now, but let's get to the bane of this issue, where first and foremost, we need to appraise the system. We want to appraise the ecosystem of startup. But from your own understanding, when people say startup, some people get confused because of the technicality of the word. But from your own understanding, can you help us break it down?
Okay, so to a layman, if you really need to understand a startup is an innovative but a growing business that is solution driven. So they are aimed at providing solution and they are scalable. They have scalable models. Now, most startups are tech-driven too, right? Unlike the traditional SMEs that we have, what differentiates a startup is that they prioritize fast growth and market disruptions. So when we talk about market disruptions, is coming up with a system, coming up with a solution or a product that changes the way that a particular sector has been functioning over time, right? And if I'm to give a typical example so that we can drive it home to the layman, we see Flutter Waves, we see Paystack. They came in and they changed the banking system from how they used to operate traditionally, making digital payments easy for SMEs and businesses. Then we also have Uber, that came in to change the Nigerian taxi system, offering cashless rides online. Then we also have MoneyPoint, came in to change ATMs, where I step out of my house, I don't need to pay transport to go to the bank, and I can transact with my card from the comfort of my home. And we have this scattered everywhere. But see the amazing thing. Now, OPay came to disrupt MoneyPoint. Because MoneyPoint can be restrictive, right? Not every area, especially the underserved communities, the rural communities, have MoneyPoint the way we have it in the urban areas. So OPay came in with their solution where you don't even need to have a smartphone. All you need to have is a functional SIM card and your touchlight phone, like we call it, and you can operate a full banking system wherever you are without internet. So these are disruptions that occur when startups come in with their innovation. So if your business is fast growing, because we see MoneyPoint, OPay, they are growing so fast. If your business has a very good scalable model, if your business is innovative and most times tech-driven, and your business brings about market disruption, then you are running a startup.
Yeah, exactly. I think I felt the impact of the startup in the area of logistics, delivery of food, delivery of clothes, and the rest of them. But there are some aspects of the economy that we are still having issues that startup cannot penetrate. Particularly if, as you rightly pointed, if they are not tech-driven, if they are not digitally driven, they have issues. But what do you think we can do to also ensure that? Because in Western countries, we are seeing a penetrating to the agri sector, the health sector, and even the education sector. But although in our own case, we are trying as much as possible to upscale in that regard, but we're still limited. Is it because of the financial issue that is still leading us in that regard?
Okay, so one of the biggest challenges that we have when it comes to this, like you rightly said, most of the startups are in the area of tech and logistics, is because these startups follow trends. Now, what we tell startups is don't follow trends. You need to seek to solve a local problem. Now, in one of the incubation programs we held, I was part of the consultants who, was training the SMEs, right? These startups. There was this particular startup that, to me, in my years of training startups, his innovation stood out for me. I feel like till today I have not seen somebody that I would say for me has impressed me beyond him. And what was his solution? In fact, it's a patent that he created from scratch. He had to patent it because we advised him to do that during the program. It's a solar solution, but a 3-in-1 solar solution where he's solving the problem of light, he's solving the problem of CCTV, and he's solving the problem of internet. So even if you're in the rural communities and he brings his solar solution to you, which is now in a box, no longer the big solar that we see, which is now in a box, he installs this for you. And he installs the network and he installs the CCTV. So you're having a 3-in-1 solution. And this is the first solution of its kind, not just in Africa, but around the world. Because what most of solar solutions do, they just provide you light on its own. People who are into CCTV provide you CCTV on their own. And people who are internet providers are providing internet on their own. But he has infused the three together, making it easy for someone to be able to afford it. And another thing I didn't point out about startups is that they make it affordable, make it fast, and make it accessible. You have variety of choice to choose from. They make it accessible to a wider range of people. So this startup has been able to make power, internet, as well as CCTV accessible to you just by patronizing his solar box.
Very interesting.
If we can have startups that are solution-driven, not trend-driven, because now everybody is going into tech.
Exactly.
Tech is not bad, but everybody is going into tech, forgetting that we still have the fashion industry, forgetting we have health, we have education, and so many other lucrative sectors. So it's for you to think out of the box, think outside the box, and make sure that you are solution-driven and come up with solutions in these other aspects that are not just tech-driven. And you will see, you will be the next person that will be heard.
Exactly. But I won't blame those who are driving by, who have been, I mean, their passion is driven by trend, because it is the money. They are all after. But let's look at some of the issues that many people have argued around the startup initiative, particularly challenges. You know, you have been there, and for at least I know you have been there for a very long time, to understand the peculiar challenges of startup initiative in Nigeria. You know, share with us some of your experience.
The number one peculiar challenge of startups in Nigeria is funding, access to funds. And it's something that has hindered a lot. So even though people have really good and innovative ideas, they don't have the funds to scale. And so they are struggling. And then you said something that they are looking for the money.
Exactly.
So that's why everybody is tilting towards the side that they will get the money. Once the problem of funding, access to finance can be solved, it will be 50% of the problems of startups. And the second we'll talk about is power and infrastructure deficit. Of course, we know that power has been one major challenge that we have faced as a country for years now. Now, if this can be solved, it makes operations easy. Because if I come to work and I know that I can work from morning till night without interruptions, it will increase my productivity. I will think better. But in a situation where you come to work and then everybody has to put on their, I pass my neighbor generator, noise is coming from here, you can't put on your AC with such a gen. How many startups can really afford maybe listers and solar so that they can be able to power their ACs and all that? So this is one of the problems, power infrastructure deficit, because even when you talk about logistics, the logistics is thriving in places like Abuja, Port Harcourt, and Lagos, which are the biggest startup hubs. So when you take these same products to the other parts of the country, it's either you are faced with very horrible routes, and so it's discouraging, right? So when we talk about power and infrastructure deficit, is something that needs to be looked in, that has been a major challenge for SMEs. Also, we talk about irregular and unstable regulatory policies.
I'm even coming to that. Most people are like, with the Startup Act that was passed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it will make it easy. But from your own understanding, has it really worked, the smooth work for a startup?
Well, the Startup Act right now, I'm not really seeing the effect as of yet. But I do know that at least there has been a measure of recognition of startups, and that is a good thing. Now we are being recognized as major players in the Nigerian economy, people who are drivers of employment, because the startups now are the ones that are driving the employment, because these big organizations, they finish employing who they want to employ, right? So if I'm starting up a business, I need an admin, I need an operations, I need a HR, I need a marketer. So I'm driving employment.
You didn't mention media.
I need social media.
Not
course.
social media. You
Okay,
need the media.
all forms of
Exactly.
media, yes.
No, but having said that, because of the aspect of the regulation, you know, when that particular act of law was being put into process in the National Assembly, one of the biggest minors that many people are pointing towards that, although some people supported it, some people were against it, that there should be a startup agency. Well, left for the government, they were like, no, we don't need that. But from your own understanding, if a startup agency has been created to follow up on the regulation, on the act, and ensure that it is implemented fully, don't you think that there will be a better a better gain for us at this point in time?
Well, even if a startup agency is created, which would be good because now we are focusing on startups, the question is the problem that we have always been facing as a nation. Would there be accountability? So it's not about setting up another agency because looking at it critically, Smedan can do this job since they are tailored towards small and medium enterprises. They can also, adopt the startups. But the problem we have always had is accountability. There's nobody to hold accountable. Like giving an example, right? When we even talk about funding, we remember the NISAL fund from the COVID that was for household, startups, MSMEs, and all. Now, a few people get these funds. Where's the rest? Right now, DBN has come up with their 5 billion grants for SMEs.
Exactly.
How many SMEs are going to get part of this 5 billion? So you give 1, 2, 3 so that it will be on record. Where does the rest go to? So that is the challenge. It's not about creating another agency. It's about creating systems